All right, welcome back to another week of weekly analysis. Um, Talk about DXY first. Basically, that's our main indicator on the market, whether it's when the DXY is clear, we would want to trade major pairs, which is anything crossing with USD, and if it the if the DXY is not clear, we may want to look at any cross pairs, which is like AUD, JPY, and stuff like that. So currently we are building out more sell side liquidity at the bottom here. We have a yearly fair value gap created on a higher time frame. A lot of sell side liquidity. On a weekly chart, we can see that price are going up and up for the past few weeks. Created a lot of weekly fair value gap over here. Price is indeed in the monthly fair value gap already. We had the monthly candle close in October right above the weekly fair value, the monthly fair value. So it's probably might want to go a little bit higher from here. I do not want to guess this, but I think we have more buy side liquidity over here. Price may seek any of this weekly fair value and then run back up to this buy side. So it's just market maker model. Buy side, sell side. It just it's just a cycle. So there is a lot of news this week, especially for the USD, because we have US election on Tuesday, which is 5th of November. We also have, give me a second, let me go to the right week here. Okay, so this is our current week. Today we have some Australian dollar news at night. I'm in EST, New York session. So we have presidential election for US tomorrow, all day. So I'm not going to participate in any trade tomorrow because we have to let the news finish up first before we actually enter a trade. That's my rule. I don't gamble on news at all because um, I would prefer to actually miss a trade rather than blowing the account. So it doesn't really make sense to me. We don't have anything on Wednesday. We have some pound news and USD news. We have Fed rate, and we also have FOMC statement coming out on this Thursday. Um, Canadian dollar, we have unemployment rate. So a lot of news going on this week. Um, I have to be a little bit cautious when it comes to any trades entry. So going back to DXY, so it's really potential for price to come back down to this fair value and then move back up again. At least that's my outlook. It might change because of news, but I don't really care because I trade after the news. So we would see what to react from there. Um, and before I move on to any other majors pairs, I would like to cover a little bit on the gold long that I posted in the chat yesterday for the group. Um, so where was I? Let me recall a little bit. I think it was here. So yesterday, price opened over here. Um, we had a 1 hour fair value. Okay. Um, Price did not take out this low. So I had to bear in mind that the sell side liquidity has not been taken yet at that point of time. So it is still potential for price to come back down for a manipulation, because that's the previous week low, I presume, or if not, maybe the Thursday or Friday low. So looking at the next candle, we have this kind of closure, another green candle, 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock. So at the point of time, I had this 1 hour fair value markup. Nothing has been taken because my rule for Asian session, it's typically an entry around 9:30, 9 to 11:30 p.m. So I was waiting for price to come back down to this 1 hour fair value. So what happened after that was the price came back down. I was still waiting at this point of time because I'm not too sure whether the 1 hour will close below that. Eventually it did not. As you can see from a 1 hour candle, it did not close. It did not disrespect this fair value. So that give me an indication whereby price might want to actually continue a little bit higher for that session itself. So going back down to this 15 minutes, sorry, 5 minutes. That was my uh 5 minutes fair value over here. And I had my 9 p.m. marked out over here. So I want to see whether price will manipulate one more time at the 9 to 9:30. So price tap in first time. I was trying to see whether this will hold, something like that. Okay. Um, Anyone who's trading with me, you should know that I usually target 2R for my TP level. That's my take, because for 2R fixed TP, you do not need a 50% win rate to be profitable. In fact, you only need about 33 to 35% win rate to be profitable. That's the calculation. You don't have to have crazy win rate or super high RR kind of trade, but as long as you abide to your rules, follow your risk management, you will be profitable. So price coming down, um, reacting well from the M5 fair value. I want to see whether this is actually holding it. Okay. Okay. So I was confident that this ERL, the external range of liquidity, will be the draw of liquidity, which is the target if I want to long. Um, Price came back down to this fair value. It did not create any other M5 fair value over here, and it's not at 9 p.m. yet. This is pure scalping. My scalping is actually like for M5. I do not want to go a little bit lower to like M1 because M1 is just too messy. And with M1, you want to reach the same kind of amount, you have to go in with very large lot, which uh costs you a lot more on the commission and slippage as well. So you might eventually lose like more than 1R, maybe 1.2R, 1.3R instead of just 1R. So it doesn't make sense to me. So what happened next after here is very interesting. We have candle coming down, uh, down again, more buy side liquidity, still not tagging in. If you want to zoom into M1, you can see that there are a lot of sell side liquidity build up, which is trend line. I mean, trend line is basically just liquidity, if you don't know. So sorry, going back to this M1. It seems like price will already taken out this liquidity over here and creating an M1 fair value. So look what happened next one is that it did not respect the M1 fair value, and it just dived down in this kind of way. And when I see price come back down to this M5 fair value again, picking out the first, if anyone who has already moved their stop loss to this point, you eventually be liquidated because yeah. So next candle, another one, and look back to this M15. It had a very nice green candle closure. So which means that on a lower time frame, assuming that this M15 is your high time frame because you are scalping, and then your lower time frame would be like M1, M5. So in terms of M5 or M1 wise, it will probably has already given you a fair value gap or maybe a change of structure. So next candle here, M5, you can see that it created another M5 fair value. So I took an entry. This first one wasn't my entry because I wasn't trying to be impatient because I want to wait to see how the price react. This was my entry. With spread, I think it was something I can't recall, maybe something like that. Sorry. And I think this was my exact entry with a little bit of spread. So um I didn't get filled right at this candle because of spread. So I was trying to wait. And then this candle was a little bit scary, but it worked out eventually. If you look at this M5, again, if you're looking at M5 as a high time frame, M1 will be your lower time frame. So on the M5 as high time frame, you can see that the price wicked into this fair value, close green. So if we were to zoom down to M1, you can see that, okay, not M1 for this case, um, maybe 15 second. Some of you might have 15 seconds. So 15 second, you can see that price manipulate down and then push up on a lower time frame. It had a M15 breaker structure, creating a lot of fair value gap over here. This is like a unicorn fair value gap plus the breaker block. So if you want to long here, it's really up to you. Add size or whatever you want to call it. So target would still be the same. Okay, target will still be the same. And look what happened after that. It just ran and notice how it react over here. It created higher high, higher low, higher high, building up more buy side liquidity. So the next thing here is to monitor whether the price push up through, create another fair value gap, and then react from fair value gap, continue again. You do not want to see the price take out this high buy side liquidity and then return to this entry. So it's really important to see how the candlestick pattern behavior. So let's see. See how price stay above it, and that will give you an indication that it has created a new fair value. So after that, it's just pointing out the new fair value gap again. You can see that there is a new M5 fair value, and then it's just stick from there. Okay, so this is like a simple kind of scalping during the session. It has to be during the session because that gives you the most liquidity, most volume in terms of trading hours. So this is something that I took yesterday. That's pretty much what I had for the beginning of the week. I'm gonna cover anything much from there. So let's dive back into the analysis. So looking at Aussie dollar, US dollar, this is still making more weekly fair value. I think it's going down at this moment, so we want to see what price, how price move after the US election, or maybe after tonight's AUD news. Um, I need to be frank. I took a look at all these forex pairs beforehand. Nothing really fancy because it's just price building up a lot of liquidity and then just waiting for news to come in. So it might be boring. We don't have much setup. It's okay. We have to be patient. So bear with me. Um, Euro dollar, we can see that price reacted into this fair value gap. Weekly fair value gap is a strong fair value gap, I would say. So going back down to this daily, we don't see anything yet. If we get a 4 hours or daily fair value gap created in this um area, we might be able to find a short trade. So let's wait for the news as usual. Comparatively, I think pound will be a little bit stronger. Other than this weekly fair value, we don't have any other fair value created within the last 4 or 5 candles. So I think price is still going okay so far. Again, let's wait for the XY. New Zealand dollar a little bit similar to the pound dollar, but we have taken out all this buy side liquidity. Dollar CAD, we had created another new fair value gap over here on the weekly. Um, Again, if the XY is bullish, we might see price surge up very quickly after this. So let's wait. Dollar Swiss franc price came back down to this fair value. If we get a 4 hours or maybe this is not something that I wanted. Um, it did not even created a 4 hour fair value, so this is not something that I want long. I might want to wait for price to retrace a little bit deeper, something like that. And then if we are still bullish, this is something that we can take. But a lot of news here, so we want to see how price react. Same thing for USD Japanese yen. I think we're still bullish. Um, Wait the order flow until it's disproven. Silver, I think we are still bullish. We have a lot of liquidity to be taken eventually, but we just have to wait for the price to retrace um nicely before we look for a long. Gold, pretty much similar to silver. Um, at this moment, I don't have anything much on the crosspair other than this pound Swiss franc, and I'm not too sure whether this will hold, to be honest. So let me. So on pound Swiss franc, um, if you pay attention to what I posted maybe a month ago or maybe more than a month ago, when we were still at this candle, maybe end of September, we were waiting for price to actually seek the ERL. But when I zoom into this lower time frame, we can see a lot of imbalance created, but also got disrespected by different kind of order flow. So I had this sell side liquidity marked out maybe a few weeks ago. Took it took about 2 or 3 weeks for it to be manipulated, and it has created this new fair value gap over here. Well, I was trying to see whether we can catch a long back to this. It kind of disrespected the first one here. So we might want to remain a little bit patient to see whether this price will actually react off here very nicely, created maybe a 1 hour, maybe or a second, 4 hours imbalance so that you can actually take a long back to this 1.137. So this is still promising at this moment, I would say, but I want to be careful. So this is on my watch list, apparently. And on the Aussie dollar, New Zealand dollar, well, it reacted off very nicely from weekly fair value. We had a daily fair value over here. So I can't say for sure but this price reacted from this weekly fair value is not really pretty, not my type of model. So I haven't really long yet. Um, if I would say if this wasn't a trade, if price actually liquidate last week high and then break down, I can take a shot back to this fair value. And then eventually I think it's still bullish. And then we can take a long back to this. This is on my watch. I just want to have the price action a little bit pretty before I take a long or short. So let's see. Um, Nasdaq. Give me a second. Give me a second. This is awful. So it's just kind of frustrating when you trying to trade before news, especially those red folder. It's you can see the price going sideways. So those sideways price action is just building up liquidity for you guys to for price to actually manipulate it and then go to the direction that it wants. It's a kind of similar concept as price is moving out of the kill zone. So whereby you have price moving sideways, disrespecting the buy side, disrespecting the sell side, and keep moving like that. And during the kill zone, it just swept the high time frame by the buy side liquidity and then break down. This is when you want to look for a trade. So what you're going to look for is actually to break down, creating a lower low for this case, and then creating a new fair value gap here. So you will want to take a short down to this sell side liquidity. So all this is actually liquidity. Okay, what do you want to call it? Trend line or equal high, equal lows. Those are just the same as liquidity. Um, so if we trade before the news, you can see something like that. It's just on a different time frame. If you trade outside the Q zone, you can see the same thing as well, but maybe on a lower time frame. So something for you guys to be to take care of when you want to be when you want to scalp or you want to trade before the news. But and that's also the reason why I don't trade news, because news will manipulate one side of the liquidity and then move to the direction it wants. So it's really nothing at this moment. We just have to wait. Dow Jones, same thing, a little bit stronger, but at least made a higher high. Same thing for S&P. We made higher high as well. So the weakest here for now is the Nasdaq because it did not make a higher high. It still have the SMT, which is a lower high. So if we want to short, this will be the one that we want to short. We're done with CFD. We go a little bit to Bitcoin. I think most of you might be a little bit more, well, more interested in crypto, I would say. I have no idea why, but to me, crypto is just a lot more manipulation in a way. So that's not my kind of favorite pair to trade. So if I erase away all this markup, in a second, you will actually see this fair value gap over here. I was actually waiting for this candle, which is last week, to plunge into this weekly fair value and then continue upwards. It did not, but it also did not close above it and create another new fair value for upside movement at this moment. So I think we are coming down to this weekly fair value. So my previous markup might still be valid. It's just taken longer than expected to come into this fair value. It's okay. Um, so I would say price might actually dip down to this and then continue higher. We had this high created. It did not tag the new high yet. It's not all-time high yet in my opinion at least. So I think we are still bullish. It's just more buy side liquidity. You want to see all this buy side liquidity before the move up. It's just how the price moves basically. So I was anticipating something similar like that to happen in this range. I think I was too early, so maybe something like that, But I wouldn't want to just. It's just my guess. So let's leave it at it is right now, and then we'll see what happens after that. So for Ethereum wise, it's much weaker. As you can see from this range, it had Bitcoin already made higher high, higher low multiple times, but Ethereum wise, it did not at all. It's just reacting from all this bearish order flow, POI. So right now, I'm bearish on Ethereum. I'm still bearish on Ethereum basically. This kind of price action is something that you want to avoid on higher time frame. If you want to scalp, go ahead, but not for a swing at this moment. And that's all I have for you guys. If anyone else is interested to ask any question, you may ping me in the chat, DM me, or join the next call if I have any. So, yep. Thanks for joining. Thanks for watching.